All right, today I have a very special project that I'm working on. So I was inspired by these, and this is a special fabric called lace coupier. So I bought a yard of this beautiful fabric. You can see it has more of a 3D effect to it. I love it, it's gorgeous. And we're gonna make a pair of shorts, which could end up turning into an absolute disaster, or it could be a win. So for these shorts, I needed an underlining. So that is this constructed. So I made the darts in this already, and this will be the short back. And then the short front, I've also cut out and did the darts in this. So now really what's required is we lay this out on the fabric. All right, we got our scissors, we got pins, we have matching thread color, and we have our shorts. So, okay, I've already made darts in these and I've cut them out. I did not film that process because originally I did not have a YouTube channel, but now I do. So yeah, and I started these a while ago, like last year, which is not great. But I'm really kind of nervous to cut into this fabric because you have to lay it out just right before you can make anything with it. And I'll show you what I mean by that. All right, so we have this lovely trim at the end here, and I want to make sure that some of this is overhanging. So I'm going to put the shorts underneath, and we're going to see if I can get this to look right. So I want there to be just the slightest bit of an edge hanging down, and then I'll cut out.
So what I'm doing here is I'm laying out my pattern pieces, and then I'm going to carefully pin around them. I'm trying not to distort the fabric underneath, and I'm also trying to make sure that everything lies flat. And now I'm taking my scissors and just trying to cut around the motif, make sure that everything lies flat so that when I manipulate this and add the darts, it'll all look good. And this process took a long time.
So I only bought a yard of this fabric, and this is all that's left. And I think I'm gonna save this for another project, or if I need to add on more of these lace details, if I need to add more of these on, then I have some, so I can just cut around, like for instance this big flower right here, and then tack them onto the shorts. But that's only if something bad happens with this project. I think we'll be okay. So as you can see in the shorts themselves, I added quite a bit of leeway from the underside of the fabric to the side fabric, and that's just to make sure I have enough room for the darts.
And this was the most tedious part of this task, was hand tacking everything down. And I'm telling you, this took so long. I think I spent 4 hours on just tacking this panel down, and then I had to do it on 4 more panels. And this was only the bottom edge of the panel. I didn't even get started on the top edge of the panel. So what I mean is, like, you can see I'm only doing the bottoms here, and then eventually you had to leave room for the darts, so I didn't do that. And then you can see kind of how messy this is on the back, and that's just how the shorts are gonna look. I didn't put a lining in them because it's summer and they're shorts.
All right, we have all the shorts pieces tacked together, so you can see that here. So what I need to do now is I thread traced this dart, which I don't know if you can see. I thread traced it, so this dart needs to be cut open, and then I'll fold it over on itself and it'll lie flat with the fabric, and then I can tack the rest of it down. So I did that to this one, and the sides are folded down so that I can sew these eventually. But you can see the dart in here. It's pretty invisible, actually. It's hard to see, but there's a dart in there now and it lies flat. And so once I sew everything together, I'll then go back and tack everything down. So I think that's what I'm gonna do today. It is day 4 of this project. I have spent so many hours on this project, but it's gonna be so worth it once I get these cute shorts underway, or at least I hope. We'll see. This could be an absolute disaster and I'll never wear them, but hey, gotta experiment. So you can see that dart right there, and I've stitched a piece of tissue paper so that I can see where the dart is, and then I thread traced it like so, and it's hard to see on here, but the white stitching is right here and here. So what I'm gonna do is cut and then like applique it over. So I'll try to explain, or I'll try to show you what that is. And I apologize for the lighting. It's going in and out. So we're just gonna cut. So now pull those out. Kind of hard to see. And then I'm gonna pull up the underside of this so they can see what I'm doing. We're gonna place it on this ham. And if you don't have a ham, you can just roll up a terry cloth towel. Let's see. So you can see those white threads. So now we just have that single layer. We're gonna put this on the ham. You're just gonna applique over where the thread goes. So I'm gonna pin this down. We're gonna lay this down and make sure that it aligns with the edges, which it does. Perfect. So now I'm going to do either, you can do a dense zigzag stitch, or I'm going to do this by hand, so applique it by hand.
So what I'm doing here is I'm hand stitching these appliques, and at this point in my project I was like, oh, this isn't too bad, this is going well. And then I realized I still have hours more work to tack over the front.
And now the dart lies nice and flat. So my next order of business is to do all of the short panels with the darts in them. So the backs have 2 darts and the fronts only have 1 dart. So the 2 darts are sitting right next to each other. Let me see if I can find. So these shorts have two darts in the back. And this is gonna be a little challenging because you can see the lace doesn't have a lot of openings to it that you can make a smaller size dart. So it's going to be a process. I guess I will film this just in case something messes up and you guys can see my process. Here's where our problem is. So you see how there's no good path to clip. Like I would clip these little things called guides and make it so that it would just be one continuous thing, but there are like giant motifs in the way. So I'm just gonna kind of have to hack through those, which is a shame. And especially like this large flower right here, it's just not gonna be pretty. So I'm gonna do the best that I can and pin this together, and then we'll see where we get. All right, and now we have this all pinned up. Let's see, we lay these on top. Do they match? They do. So what I'm checking, what I'm evaluating is the underlining is matching up with the darts. So now I can just stitch this all, hand applique this all, and then we should be good to go. So I put in the darts, and I did have one issue with it, which is the dart, I had to cut through a flower, which was unfortunate. So I ended up cutting out another flower out of the lace and then just appliquing that over. So I don't know if you can see that. And so I think that makes it look better. But now we're ready to assemble and sew. And I'm so excited because this has been such a long process. This has taken me weeks to do, and honestly, if I weren't doing a video for it, I probably would have given up on it and it would have gone in my work in progress stash. But I'm very excited, so let's get to the next step.
The next step was to serge all the edges, and I wanted to do this before I sewed anything together because I thought I was going to have too hard a time trying to get all the layers in between each other and not chop something off inadvertently.
I'm so excited. We're finally going to get to sew. Serged all the edges except for the top one, and we're gonna put the fronts together, and then we'll put the backs together, and then we'll start seaming it all together. I will not finish this today, even though it's daylight. It's gonna get it's gonna take a while.
This part was the best part because it was fast and easy and required no hand sewing. The only thing is that I wasn't exactly on the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, which is what the pattern called for, because some of the lace was a little too close to my seam allowance. But I ended up getting everything pretty much aligned how I wanted to. And then pressing your seams is so important and makes it look so much more professional. So here I am pressing my seams and then pressing them open. Highly recommend. Finally, I'm adding this ribbon in as a placket instead of doing a traditional placket because I don't have any of this extra lining fabric that I used for my underlining. So I had to make do with what I did, and I thought it was a nice touch. And now comes the best part, putting in the zipper, because this means that we're nearly done with our project. All I had to do from here was to sew on the snaps, then I just hemmed the shorts.
Woohoo, we're almost done. So I have overlapped each of the seams and then pinned in place. So you can kind of see how there's an overlap of these seams right here. And basically now all that needs to be done is to hand stitch everything in place. This is going to take so much time, but it's going to look really good once it's all together. So the crotch was the most difficult to overlap, but I think I have it mostly figured out. And then after that, we'll just be finishing off the last side, which I have left open, as you can see here. And then we're gonna sew on some snaps to cover the zipper, put in a waistband, and then hem the bottoms. We have a problem. So as you can see, the zipper is right here. And what I was gonna do was have this fabric overlap this fabric. However, I cut this fabric when I was supposed to cut this side. So now this side will have to flap over like this to hide the zipper.
This was a really satisfying part for me, which was just cutting where the waistband is going to lay. So I just cut off all the motifs and made sure that everything aligned perfectly. And then I took this Petersham ribbon and just pinned it in place, and then I'm going to sew around this and then make that fold over so that that becomes my waistband. Finally, here I am sewing the snaps on, and so this will hide the zipper. And here's the final reveal. I am so thrilled with how these shorts came out. And I'll link all of my resources that I used for this project because there were a lot of them. I had many questions. Thanks for watching.